So, a very good afternoon to all of you, and I wish you a warm welcome on the ninth session of our STEAM webinar series, which is 24 in 24, a series and an initiative by Whiteboard Foundation, Research and Education Foundation, in association with Deltron Technologies. And it's absolute pleasure to all of you who have joined us today for our contribution to a journey of bridging the gap between the corporate and education. Today, we are delightful to onboard with the expert who has the expertise in the multiple domains and has a remarkable and a renowned experience. Mr. Rohit Chauhan, sir. Sir is currently serving as a scientist in the Ministry of Electronics and IT and as a veteran of Indian Air Force. Addition to that, Sir has an expertise and a contribution in the governance and the defense sector. Along with that, Sir also have a significant contribution and expertise in the corporate sector, public policy, global business engagement. So, without wasting much of the time, on the behalf of Whiteboard Research Foundation and Dentron Technologies, as well as our attendees, I just want to wish a warm welcome to our guest, sir. Thank you for coming us on board with, sir.
Thank you, Ankit. Thanks for the warm introduction. I hope I'm audible, loud and clear.
Yes, sir. Your voice is audible. And before I think we can go ahead with the session, just an announcement to make. So the session after the till the session is not get over, the mic of our attendees will be off. The reason for doing is that sometimes there might be a echo issue when they ask the question between. Once the session will get completed, they will put their question in the question answers in the message in the text, and we can have a question answer session with them.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I think there has to be some kind of a quorum to ensure, that the conversation goes seamless. I understand that. So
Sure,
yeah,
sir.
perhaps if they can switch on their video, I feel more at home. Whomsoever is comfortable doing it. Uh, to start with, thank you so much, Ankit, for having me on your platform. Uh, well, first of all, I'm currently working with corporate. I left ministry 2 years back, so now not with ministry. Now I'm leading a corporate affairs charter for a gaming company in India, and so we are trying have to develop certain gaming software. I work with industry, with government, uh, global teams, business chamber of commerce, embassies, basically trying to do external interface management for a company. So जो काम जयशंकर जी देश के लिए करते हैं एक बहुत ही छोटे रूप में in whatever little way, we try to do it for our company. That's the context. Now coming to the today's topic, when you guys discuss with me, I thought many people will come and talk to you about technology. It's a very common thing. Many people will talk to you about digital transformation, doing consulting, or even talking about very big matrices in terms of how to run strategy for a business. But this kind of a work will be very rare to share. So I'll share uh, some my experience and certain things that can be relevant for the next generation, if may I have to say. I hope the most of the audience are part of the graduation and post graduation kind of a stuff. So yeah, so for them to make a career, if they feel excited, they can charter those waters. And if not, at least they'll be understand how they can leverage this kind of a department or a function with that exists in their organization, how they can leverage it in terms of when they move ahead. Because in most of the organization, corporate affairs is there, but even the organization is not aware other than the top 2 3 people that whether they exist and what they do. So yeah, to put things in context, public policy, let me give you a very brief understanding on the things. When we say public policy, in a simpler terms, it simply mean any kind of a government initiated policy or any kind of a government initiated legislation, which is a regulatory framework through any constitutional act and power that our parliamentarians have through the parliament. Uh, any kind of a document which has been notified through a gazette notification, uh, which is applicable to the larger public of our country. So that becomes a sense of a public policy in a very basic layman language. Whether it's a social context, whether it's on taxation, whether it's on economics, any other parameter, or whether it's on technology, or whether it's on any subject, whether it's a labor law, whether it's on any other thing, whichever is applicable. So, and there are different regulations that exist. Some HRs comply to labor laws for their manufacturing businesses. Some compliances are done by finance people. There are RBI compliances which are there on various financial institutions. So there are different agencies who set certain guardrails and laws in the larger interest of the country and public at large. That's a very important point. And in a way, those are done in consultation with business, so that business also maintains their stability and they are not harmed. But the prime concern is public at large, and the overall growth and for the nation, not for the particular sector or industry in mind. So that's a very important caveat to start. Secondly, when you look at public policy, there are maybe hundreds of policy applicable in different fields. But to understand it in the understanding from the context of making it very simpler, let's take an example of technology. IT or technology is a very common thing used by all of you. Now, India recently has marched on to build semiconductor manufacturing in India. So, and also we should have our own electronics manufacturing ecosystem in India. And when we say ecosystem, that means somebody should be able to research it, create a design, somebody should be able to build on it, somebody should be able to fabricate it, somebody should be able to assemble it, and then somebody should be able to package it, and then somebody should be able to sell it, and then somebody should be able to export it. So it's a huge cycle. So there are n number of players and types of business that can come out of this complete mushroom. So government thought that to bring semiconductor ecosystem in India, it's a very expensive thing to start with. No business would like to put their money in if there is a not existing infrastructure. Why would they risk their money tomorrow? Government may change. Then what? So government said, no, don't worry. We'll put the initial capital investment for you. We will give you subsidy for the first 5 years or 10 years, whatever. So they brought in PLI, productivity link incentive schemes for the businesses. So now all the businesses who manufacture electronics goods in India, whether it's mobile phone, Apple coming, or any other thing, from a small case of a semiconductor to designing a chip like Nvidia does, anything to everything, whatever falls in the gambit, and certain the detailed guidelines that are there, you can do a lot of things. So government come up with a policy. Now the orientation of policy is that there is a employment creation in India. There is a creation of ecosystem in India. There is a research and development that happens in India. And most importantly, the business runs on IPs, intellectual property. There are creation of IPs for India. Google and Microsoft are nothing but a bunch of IPs. They own IPs for 10, 15 years till the time the technology is relevant, then it becomes absolute. So they either acquire or white label it, whomsoever has done the basic research work. But since they have the money, they have the might. So IPs decide where things are going to pan out. And the real disruption, what people talk about AI, is not from the technology. It's nothing. It's a combination of stats, maths, and coding. It's all bonkers. Otherwise, too much halla gulla. But the point is simple. But the real essence of AI is that it's very tough to quantify, to get a patent on it, because and it's a very different conversation. But all I'm trying to give you a context of it, how things pans out when you talk about actual business. So the government image and government orientation is, so they brought a policy in the effect. Now that policy will affect every business. It will affect Intel. It will affect all the global US MNC, TSMC from Taiwan, and all the big giants, and also the existing electronics manufacturing ecosystem, whatever little capacity it is there in India, whether we talk about Tata Technologies, whether we talk about HCL, or whether we talk about any other, we have here. So they need to align their policy, their work, and their entire, things with the government, with the industry. So when they do work, they also make some profits. They also avail government, incentive, and they become have a major say in the business in India. And tomorrow, maybe 5 years, they will not make much of a money, but after 5 to 10 years, they should be able to make formidable amount of money, and their EBITDA margin should be at that level, so that they have a certain level of competitive advantage when they try and export those products to the world. So a simple policy can change everything. So that's the context and the relevance of what is a public policy. Now, these things may appear to be कि ये बहुत बड़ी बातें हैं and all those things, but when you work in a company, if you look towards those things and if you understand those subjects, if you have interest in those subjects, every small bit of regulation impact a business severely. So I'll give an example to it from my company. So gaming industry in India is currently going through a very heavy winds. Firstly, there are immense, different categories of games available. There is no clear definition on what kind of game is this and what kind of game is. Second, users understand, players understand, Gen Z understands, but regulators and decision makers and the policy makers, even industry at large doesn't understand. And when I say understand, I'm talking about operationally how to use it. But as a business, they understand, not the user or a player. So, but when we talk about as a business, 28% GST has been put on all the gaming or a gambling application in India ban. Now, if I am as a player, I put in 100 rupees in any gaming application, and if I have to pay 28 rupees tax to the government, will I play on that platform or will I play on some Chinese app who have a server in some Tom Dick Harry place, and who doesn't give a damn to Indian regulation, because internet is a democratized entity, and if Indian government blocks it through 69A, tomorrow they'll open another, through a different IP address, they'll open at some other proxy or some other name. So how do we control it? You can't. So will, as a player, I'll go there where I'll have a better chance, or will I be here? So this is a crisis for the business. Whether so they have to pay also, and they have to suffer the business also. Now, how do you put this thing to the government? Government will say कि हमें नहीं पता आप क्या करते हैं, आप एल्गोरिदम में क्या करते हैं, कौन जीतता है कौन हारता है, आप सब सट्टा लगाते हैं, हमारे देश के संस्कार ऐसे नहीं है. Finish. नेताजी ने बोल दिया, over and out. So you'll close your business. If you close your business, so many jobs will go, so many family will affected, and that's not country how it function, because you are a cash cow. You are paying 28% GST to the government. Government also runs on you. So these are the level of intricacies. This is just a small one flavor of a regulation or a policy I've given it to you. So when you work in corporate affairs, these are the kind of issues you have to manage. And people may think that you will try to lobby and all, or doing those days are gone. Those those days of lobbying, bribery, those are some places, some odd things happen, but that's not how the real thing work. Every entire bureaucracy, civil services people, they're very smart. They can see through if you try to talk too much English, McKinsey and BCG type. They will immediately understand you if you try to play too much smart, in the sense of circumventing any guidelines, classic example is that pan masala wo ilaichi ka add karna, and all those shit that is there, Kingfisher advertising for a soda. So those are all circumvention. Can't they see it? They can see it. It just, there is no political sentiments around it. So policy becomes sensitive when the public at large is at stake. Then the policy becomes very, because it's a political matter. Then it's a vote that is at stake. So government doesn't allow any shit if it can affect the vote or the politics or the general sentiments and living of the people. Other than then, if it's there, they'll close their eyes for the business कि आप करिए जो करना है, हमारे को टैक्स देते रहिए. So I think by and large, I'm trying to give you very broad things just to make you understand how things pans out. Now, as a professional, when you in whatever things I've said, these all things are concerning to government. But there are other dimensions to this department, this function, and this kind of work. Number one, media. So any business wants to build brand, what they're talking, what they're doing, they generally comes about, a certain type of a communication. Like I'll give you an example. People talk about Nike being a great marketer. So we don't promote shoe, we promote athletes, and shoe is a byproduct. So that's an excellent marketing, but that's not only marketing. That's actually building public sentiments, and it's a campaign. So though it's done by a marketing people, but it's a kind of an external communication team, which deals with the strategic communications, which is master of, creating a long-term brand, that what kind of a company, what kind of a vision, what kind of understanding they want to build with their customer. So it's customer facing advertisement, then they'll try and build. Similarly, if you're trying to communicate to the government, you will build a different brand. You'll get some good op-eds and articles written by some famous people in the newspaper that you see. 90% of the articles you read in Sunday Guardian, First Post, Economic Times, Financial Times are all paid. 95%, I can tell you. Through some company, some agency, somebody is that's somebody's take. So that is why this new generation is not able to make sense of what is genuine, what is not genuine. I mean, and when I say new generation, I'm not that very old also. I also fall in millennial category. And but I say it very responsibly because I see a lot of woke IQ spreading in the world around. And the reason is that, people have stopped reading. They don't want to go into history and understand the complete context. They just see some YouTuber reel and, and they go bonkers. So, but if you want to become a real professional, if you really want to grow in this field, you have to read a lot. You have to understand every little sensitivity of things. I'll give you an example, personal example. A video on a social media intermediary like a Twitter or a Facebook in India will have severe implications from the point of view of whether that content should be blocked. I mean, that's called content moderation. It falls under intermediary guidelines of Ministry of IT of India under Section 69. So whether they should block it or not block it, it's a very sensitive issue. Same thing if you do it any other country, who bothers? So as a public policy or professional or a public affairs professional, when you're working for Twitter, supposedly, you need to understand and tell the boss, ye yahan nahi chalega. You can't do this in India. You need to have filters and algorithms and people who are, filtering the content and reporting the content to understand the law of land and the sensitivities that are involved in India. Otherwise, it will flare up. So what you're doing essentially is you're managing an external risk for your company. And I'm just giving you a very simple example-wise understanding of it. So you need to be very, very well learned. You need to understand history, geography. You need to understand science, technology, and have a thing on how does government formation is done, how does a bill comes out, how does an ordinance comes out, and how global business operates, how things are. So whatever best you can understand, of course, knowledge always helps, but in detail, when I say, not half cooked gray knowledge, which is a very dangerous one, that will never help. So if you at all wants to come into this field, you need to understand things in detail. Second, media, PR, like I said, public relation, communication, external communication is part of this work. And how you do it depends on which type of business you are, whether you are established company, whether you are a startup, whether where in exactly the whole entire ocean you are, small fish, big fish, goldfish, what kind of you are. Based on that, you will try to see what matters to you, what are your objective, and accordingly you will manage your media, PR, communication, whatever. Internal communication is far easier that you do with employees, like oh HR wale aate hain ye wo and all those things. So those are very easy. Those are very simple bureaucratic language. Nobody will say anything. So that's a very simple thing. Now coming to point of view of what next. Third is the CSR, corporate social responsibility. Must have heard about this word. A lot of women has been traditionally in this, women professionals has been in this field. But not only women, there are, many people are there. But CSR, we need to understand this thing very, very clearly as a business person, that nothing exists for charity. So nobody is here for charity. These are all wrong notions. Number two, there is a Companies Act under which you are mandated to do CSR of around 2 to 3 crores if you are of a certain level of turnover. If you have beyond that, you have a different mandate. So that's you need to spend in the country. That how it comes. This is over and above what tax you pay, because you own to the society. You are using resources of society. You exist in society, and society is offering you something. So you owe to the society in terms of as a business, and it's your rightly obliged duty that you need to do it. And it exists in every country. So there is, you can't question it principally. It's a fairly mature concept. Now, but how do you do CSR? Somebody will say कि बच्चों को पढ़ा दो, somebody will say surgery करा दो, somebody will say something else, and whims and fancies. But business doesn't work on whims and fancies. Business works on what's my goal, why I'm doing it, what I'm doing it, and who will decide what you need to be done. So if you look at this matrix, the corporate affairs guy will see कि दोस्त मेरे लिए ये important है currently. I'll give you an example. So supposedly an IT company exists in India. Now draft competition bill is soon to be coming up. It is under consultation. Now if anybody doesn't know what is a competition act or a competition bill, UK has recently come up with a digital bill kind of a thing, wherein they won't allow monopoly by the big techs, and they have put certain guardrails so that everybody gets a fair share in the market and the country. So India, the Competition Commission of India, which was established under Mr. Dhanendra Kumarji, the first chairperson, is headed by Mrs. Kaur, I think. So they are under the process of establishing a legal framework, a kind of a policy under which all the Amazons and the Googles of the world has to comply. And especially after this Supreme Court verdict on the Google Play monopoly and how it destroyed, Indian homegrown businesses. I think there is writing on the wall that it will be a little tougher on the external companies or global companies. Now, but there are companies who enjoy monopoly in India in the market silently. I'll give an example, Naukri.com. Naukri.com is a monopolized business in India in terms of a job portal. Now, that's their superior business model. I mean, there is nothing wrong with Naukri.com, but it enjoys monopoly. So tomorrow government may say, I don't want only one player to dominate. Let me put certain guardrails so that there is certain level of a parity which is maintained, because then only my consumer and my citizen will be benefited. In the sense, the demand and supply, in the economy will be balanced. So they'll come up with some kind of a guideline. So, but now, supposingly this department is headed by a particular minister who is from Maharashtra. So what you'll do is you'll say कि सर जी हम आपकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में कुछ काम करना चाहते हैं, तो आप उनके गांव में जाएंगे, उनकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में जाएंगे और आप वहां पर कुछ पैसा CSR का खर्च कर देंगे, 2-3 करोड़ रुपए लगा के वहां बच्चों के स्कूल में कुछ करा दिया, मंत्री जी खुश हैं। अब आप जैसे बिल में जो आप करना चाहते हैं, कम से कम उससे उससे ये मत सोच लेना कि उसके हिसाब से कुछ हो जाता है। इट डजंट वर्क लाइक आई सेड अर्लियर, इट्स अ मिसकंसेप्शन, but at least you will be important part of conversation, because as a responsible business you are doing CSR at a right place. Now at a right place is as per government. So this right is, I'm telling you, how does businesses do. So you're trying to do CSR which is calibrated to your strategy and your objective. So once you have a seat on the table, tomorrow you will make a rational argument. Some will be accepted, some will not be accepted by the government, but at least something is better than nothing. So you'll be engaging with government. Next flavor of this work or the business exists is something called as industry at large. If you're in IT, then there are industry associations like NASCOM. If you're a US owned business, ASSOCHAM, USIBC, uh, if you're a kind of FMCG, FICCI will matter for you. CII, of course, as an industry consortium. So there are different associations who have a different mandate and a different role to play. So as a member company, as a business, you always try to be a member of these company. Why? Because every association runs certain kind of a program, certain kind of conversation, networking relationship with the government and public at large. So if you are their member, if you're paying them, if you're part of their entire ecosystem, your voice will be heard. You will have ears to the conversation which are happening. You'll protect the interest of your business. You'll manage the risk for your business, which are external. And also you may be able and to leverage and utilize certain hidden opportunity that you can see in coming times. So that's one part of it, dealing with industry association, media, PR, I've already told CSR. Now the last part, which is again a new buzzword, sustainability. That's also generally fall into this domain, because sustainability also is driven by very tight regulation globally, whether it's international regulation or a local regulation of a country. And sustainability as a concept also pans out to the entire organization, verticals and businesses. So it's a broad concept. So that is where sustainability also falls under corporate affairs. So if supposingly you are a company like Flipkart, wherein you are generating so much amount of paper waste or so much amount of packaging, plastic and everything, for you to become sustainable and to manage your waste is becomes very important. uh, because if tomorrow you'll go for some contract, now in times to come, ESG matrices and sustainability will become part of the contract document. So if you want to win a global contract, and if you don't have green compliances and all those things done up, you will lose points and you'll not get the contract. So again, it boils down to business. Remember, nobody is doing for charity कि बहुत खुश हैं वो बहुत उससे planet से प्रेम है वो सब, get out of all those notions. It's all plain business. That's why people do. The reason is simple, that you can't do business. That is why in India, MSME sectors, Lala-owned companies are trying to understand digital transformation, sustainability, CBAM, carbon border adjusted tariff that UK is trying to import to make trade unsustainable for developing countries. They're trying to do their hegemony, and India is trying to come up with their own frameworks so that we will become global south, not the part of global south. So that's how narrative building happens at global level. So leave it. I'm not just trying to lecture or give you a pep talk. The point is that sustainability becomes a very important factor, especially for manufacturing oriented organizations, which are generating significant amount of waste. Tomorrow it will come to all technology companies also, because they are churning huge amount of bits and data, which is essentially hardware, which is essentially emission of gases and essentially global warming. So Google commits that they are net zero. Whatever they do, they give it back. So similarly, all companies try to do in that whatever local sense they have. So this entire package becomes corporate affairs or public affairs for that matter. And there are certain other things, small things that depends on organization to organization. what kind of engagement, what kind of work you do with government, industry, public at large. Uh, so, I mean, it can have various flavors of it, but this is a very broad structure that I've given it to you from the public affairs point of view. Traditionally, it was the public affairs, then it was called corporate affairs. Now it is being, taken as public policy or government affairs. West define new terms and we follow it, and we've been doing it. So that's how it is. But essentially, it is managing the external ecosystem for the company. Now, coming to the point of the topic of the discussion, uh, uh, how do you leverage it as a professional to, do something good for your company? ये सब ज्ञान का फायदा तभी है if you can make use of it, the sense of it. Otherwise, it is like some YouTuber talking or some big things and big talks. So if you are not able to understand, build insights out of it, understand things in detail, and go to the nuts and bolts as a professional, and then try to create a business case out of it, concept note out of it, present it to the management, take a buy-in, and execute it. This is what will make you a professionally successful person. In a company, before telling this last one point I want to cover, in a company, 90 to 95% people will talk with big ideas, but 5% only are those who can execute an idea. And believe you me, business needs the latter people more, and they are more successful than the people who talk big things, then execute big things. So my advice, sincere advice to all of you going ahead in your career and life is become a go-getter, become somebody who get it done. Execute it, prepare a report after it, and then try and sell it for your career growth, rather than talking too much. But because results are not always in your hands, there can be different caveats that you never thought of. So yeah, now how to do it? To start with, I think the basic point you need to understand is there are two sides. I don't have a white board here behind me, but I'll just try to give you a. Imagine there is a board and I've divided it into two parts. One is a revenue side of the company, another is the cost side of this company. Revenue side of the company is something that जो कंपनी में वैल्यू लाता है. अब वैल्यू तो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड भी लाता है, लेकिन क्या सिक्योरिटी गार्ड को आप रेवेन्यू साइड पे काउंट करोगे? हाँ, वो सिक्योरिटी देता है, बिना उसके यू कांट एग्जिस्ट, बट इट इज नॉट रेवेन्यू साइड. बिकॉज रेवेन्यू साइड इज समथिंग कि जब कंपनी का एनवायरमेंट आप एक बेसिक लेवल ऑफ स्टेबिलिटी मान लें कि एवरीबडी इज डूइंग देयर वर्क, देन व्हाट कम्स that runs your business? Where does the money come from? How does the cash comes in? How does the revenue comes in? How is the revenue line being created that runs and pays your salaries and pays for the business and for the shareholders? That's the revenue side of the business. And the cost side, HR, administration, security, largely 70% of the technology, only 30% is revenue generation technology, people who are able to convert those things into SOW and pitch it to client and get more business out of it. Other than that, you are a cost side. That is why so much hiring firing happens in tech in large number. So that is why so much hiring firing happens in large number, because you are on the cost side of the balance sheet. Many people will not agree with me, but if you try and see the world in reality, and if you try to see things from a practical prospect, not from what professor tell you in some IM, then you'll understand it's different. Now, have you ever heard a business development guy being fired? Rarely. Uske reason different होंगे. He must have done some kind of a goof up, some disciplinary issue, some other thing. Or some sales guy being fired. Sales people get fired when they do phenomenally weak in the numbers, and sales guy often become a little what I would say finicky with the numbers, sales heads and all. So generally they comes very hard on their teammates. But that's their internal problem, not organizational problem. So sales people also get rarely fired, or if they fire, they'll do it. They'll जिसको बेचना आ गया वो कहीं भी बेच देगा. He'll sell it for somebody else. So I'm not trying to glorify sales here, but what I'm trying to give you is they are adding money to the business. So if as a corporate affairs, if I'm only taking resources from the company, if I'm only taking budget कि भैया मेरे को 5 करोड़ रुपए चाहिए इस साल, मेरे को ये 10 प्लान करना है, ये इतना CSR करना है, इतना मीडिया में खर्चा करना पड़ेगा, इतना यहाँ करना पड़ेगा, इतना ट्रैवल है, इतना ये है वो है. If that kind of a budget only I have, and because in corporate affairs, your ROI is not like something you can show it in IT कि मैंने कोड एग्जीक्यूट कर दिया, 4 टेस्ट केस बना दिए, मैंने ये CI/CD लगा दिया, या मैंने ये पूरा ये कर दिया, या मेरा प्रोजेक्ट डिलीवर हो गया. नो नो नो, कुछ है ही नहीं. There is all everything is intangible, and it is so strategic, such a high level thing that only maybe CEO, CXO and few other people only understand it. बाकी की तो ऊपर से निकल जाएगा. So the point कि उसकी exactly value क्या है, ROI क्या है, and at what stage of business you are. Supposing I'll give an example. Before here, I was working with Adani Group. Now, do you think Adani Group need corporate affairs? Some will say कि no. I mean, Adani Group जहाँ चाहेगा इंडिया में, it's such a big group. In fact, globally, they are so big an entity now, and the vision is so great. Their core team is phenomenally good. The core senior leadership, top leadership. I mean, they can do almost anything. Provided they maintain a discipline in the sense of financial prudence. So, do they now need corporate affairs? Yes, they do. And they do even more. But their level of corporate affairs is absolutely different. They are like a government, a mini government, going to other government and negotiating like a country to country kind of a thing. So, if you tomorrow, so I'll give an example. If Mr. Adani wants to build a port in Bangladesh, do you know how much the contract is? 30 years, 20 years. Annuity project, revenue coming, cash flows coming for next 20 to 30 years. If you have the contract, government comes and goes, they have to pay Adani. They have to pay them because he has invested the money to build that for you. So can you understand the level of negotiation, levels of meeting, and level of strategic interest that lies when you try and go and build port for the other country, or try and build an airport for that country, for that matter, whether GMR does it, Adani does it, anybody else does it. So the level of corporate affairs, the level of details, understanding, and the work which is required there is phenomenally at a different level than from a conventional small business which is operating in India. So everybody needs it, but the point is you can't become a sitting chair in the organization wherein you are not adding to the, like I said, revenue side of the balance sheet. So whatever work you're doing, if you want to grow in your career, if you want to stay relevant, टेक्नोलॉजी सीखना, टूल सीखना ठीक है, बट वो एक स्टेज तक चलता है. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है टू अंडरस्टैंड बिजनेस कैसे आ रहा है, पैसा कहां से कहां जा रहा है और कहां से कहां घूम रहा है. If you can figure it out in your organization, and if you can support that in some form, you'll do great in your career. I can guarantee this thing. So real people, business people, that is why entrepreneur is a rare species. They are a rare gene there, because they built and with their sweat and blood, not only through the hard work, but they also try and understand things which nobody will teach you. So it's very tough to get money out of somebody's pocket, and they enable it. So that's what I'm trying to build upon. Whether you do coding or whether you are into security, administration, or HR, try and bring some value which can be quantifiable directly in terms of some kind of a money, time, efficiency, other than the rhetoric that you do in your annual appraisal. वो सब ठीक है, वो गोल वोल लिखना बोला, नहीं, वो असली जो होता है वो सबको पता होता है। वो तुम एक लाइन लिख दोगे तब भी तुम्हें उतना ही परसेंट मिलेगा, क्योंकि उसकी वैल्यू उतनी है। बाकी तुम 4 पेज भर दोगे तो भी तुम्हें वो 5% देगा, क्योंकि वो डिपेंड इस पे करता है कि ऊपर से 10 रुपए आए, सब में 2-2 रुपए बांट दो। बट अगर कुछ ऐसा होता है कि नहीं यार इसको नहीं दिया, निकल के किसी और के लिए ये काम कर देगा, then you will not get 2 rupees, you will get better share. So you need to think little out of the box in the sense of how to use it. Now this I've told you entire kahani so that you can understand what I'm trying to say you now. So now the point is, how do you leverage public policy? The public policy leverage करने का तरीका ये है, I'll give you some examples. There are people who execute lot of different things. Some people exist who are unknown, who have very big relationship with the government and government people. Some people exist who have great relationship with the industry. Some people exist who have great relationships in media, and so on and so forth. And don't think that I'm talking about Mr. George Soros or some kind of those kind of people. No, no, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about genuine business guy who have a business model out of it. Okay. Now, so if you are working in public policy and if you see there is a problem that your company is facing. So let's take an example. In Adani Group, don't quote me anywhere. I'm not talking on behalf of Adani Group. तो मुझे कहीं don't run my reel or something or somewhere. I'm somebody, I try to stay away from all the rhetoric. But I'm trying to give you a context to it. That in Adani Group or wherever I've worked, supposingly, your company wants to expand to US. Let's take an example, US, UK, any other country. But the sales guy is not able to build, or the business development guy are struggling to get even meetings or client meetings, or they're not able to do it because you yourself, you are not something like Tata or some Adani or Ambani or something. No, you're not that. You're a small player in the market. Your product may be niche, but product is only when there is a testimony to use to it, and then only you can build it. So it's a slow process. You can't straight away go and expand into a new market. Even the demand is there in the market. So can you build a go-to-market strategy for that? That's where you comes in the picture. Now, you are a corporate affairs guy. You know ki how does that country ki thodi understanding hai. You can figure out some ways and means to help the business navigate that. How? So what you can do, supposingly you want to go to UK, you can go and contact the UK embassy in India, Business Chamber of Commerce of UK here, and you can have a meeting with them, talk to them, become their member, participate in conversation with them, and tell them that you want to expand to UK. Can you support us? UK Business Council, the ambassador of UK, will take you on board as a somebody who wants to invest in UK. You can also a compelling 3 to 6 month public affairs campaign that creates a good picture for you in UK. In wherever, some newspapers which are well read in UK. So some op-eds with this company is great in India, they're looking to invest in India. You know, Google, but you must have, if you keep your eyes and ears closed, open, whenever any big techs want to do any kind of new thing in India, उससे पहले उसके सारी बातें ना वो उस पे TOI के ऐप में आने लगती है. You know, why this is a great idea, why they can do this, why it can solve India's problem and all those things. ऐसा नहीं है कि they are doing some charity. No, no, no. They'll create a positive public sentiment in India before coming. So what they done is कि कुछ भी बैकलैश होने से पहले उन्होंने रिस्क मैनेज कर दिया पब्लिक सेंटिमेंट्स का. पब्लिक सेंटिमेंट्स का रिस्क मैनेज करने की वैल्यू आप लोग नहीं समझेंगे इतनी जब तक आप उस प्रोफेशन में ना हो. इट मींस आपने वहां की पॉलिटिक्स मैनेज कर दी. पॉलिटिक्स मैनेज करने का मतलब हो गया आपने वहां का सीनेटर या पॉलिटिशियन मैनेज कर दिया. Because he will think twice to go against public sentiments. So you can create a media PR strategy to run a campaign for 3 to 6 months, which will have good op-eds, good articles, good small bites on Instagram and other platforms. जहाँ पे आपका product relevant है, you run some kind of a campaign before launch even. Work with your internal team, make association with the business chamber of commerce, use government to government route. Contact the Indian consulate there and that we want to work in UK, and through that we want to establish some contact. Use some kind of a scheme and panel under some kind of a UK, whatever work you can do. And I'm just giving example UK from the point of view of example. It all depends on which country, wherever geography you want to expand. And you go there and settle there. And then using the flag of UK embassy, UK homegrown business and UK government, go and try and find a meeting with their potential clients. Nobody will be able to deny it. Then you have on the seat on the table. Now hand it over the baton to your business development and sales team, and they'll take it on from there. Now, do you understand the level of strategic leverage you have given to your company using your public affairs skills? I would say it's phenomenal. You have given them the opportunity to enter market, probably journey 3 months quicker, if not exaggeration, at least 3 महीना जल्दी कर दिया normal channel से जाने से. Can you translate into some kind of a financial figure? Yes, and it will make sense. Then do you think, can they fire you? Do you think, what will they value you or not? I'm not saying you'll become God or indispensable, but you'll become relevant. You'll stay relevant. You'll be considered somebody who thinks positive for the business and the context. So this is just one example of how you can help. You can leverage each thing at your disposal externally, what exists, to help grow business for your company. This is what I wanted to say through this example. I think the entire 1 hour talk. I think I should stop now and open it for questions to hear it from all of you. Otherwise, I'll keep going on, and I can talk it for 10 hours, no issues, because I'm a Fauji. But I'll stop it here and I'll open it for you. And let's have questions, Ankit, if I made sense to them.
No, sir. Your insightful guidance and your experience, I think we have learned something very new, and even the thing that people usually don't get to know. So yes, sir, we have the questions in our message section, and I just start. People has asked many questions, like Manishka is asking, why you have left Air Force?
So I think I've seen what best Air Force could offer. I am a different person, so I have left 2 group A services job. लोग सरकारी नौकरी के पीछे अपना जीवन खराब करे पड़े. But वो शादी का लड्डू type है. When you go inside, then you'll understand. Okay. It's all about being happy in life and doing what is relevant for you at that particular moment. So government job is good, but it is only good after 50. That's my own humble opinion. I'm not trying to quantify anybody. That's my humble opinion. After 50, government job is best, most comfortable. It gives you, it's rewarding also, but also it is in terms of your value and in terms of what you can bring to the table, it is more. I thoroughly enjoyed Air Force. I don't think there is better place to be than services. That's my humble submission. Nothing against Air Force. I loved it. But at the end of the day, it's the government job. गधे घोड़े बराबर होते हैं, same salary मिलती है. And I wanted to travel the world. I don't want it to quantify it one place, some remote place every time. At this particular age and life of this stage, government में काम करना है. I can come back to Niti Aayog probably after 50-55 years if I want to and work there. Relax life, chill. No, ज़्यादा कुछ झंझट नहीं. But at this stage of life, when I have energy, when I want to do different things, try different things in life, and also be financially rewarding for my family, because I've also got a duty to fulfill what my family wants. So I've given it 10 years and in service to nation. I think I deserve, in the sense, yeah, I can do that. So I thought, let pass the baton to somebody else.
Okay, great, sir. So Chintan is asking, any best website to know about the government policies?
जिस मिनिस्ट्री की कंसर्न है उसकी वेबसाइट खोल लो. There's no one website. बट देयर मल्टीपल सोर्सेज. आई मीन गूगल पे वर्ड ही टाइप कर दो वेबसाइट के तो 10 लिस्ट बन जाएंगे. इतना रिसोर्सफुल तो होना पड़ेगा आज के टाइम में. आई मीन इन द टाइम्स ऑफ चैट जीपीटी, जस्ट नीड टू टाइप द कीवर्ड एंड दे विल गिव यू एवरीथिंग ऑन द प्लेटर.
Actually, in I didn't
Give me.
okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I just forgot to read the next line. He's also writing that it's really hard to know about the government policies if we have any platform जहाँ से सारे policies का पता चल रहा है.
So जो यूपीएससी पढ़ाते हैं ना, टीचिंग कराते हैं जो कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट, they generally do analysis. There is also few firms like who do public policy analysis work. One is Chase, CHASC, Chase. Chase do good public policy analysis work. For all the legal things, Ikigai Law is another organization. They do analysis of especially from the IT and technology policies. इसके अलावा देर आर ऑल द एसोसिएशंस. आप नेस्कॉम पे जाएंगे, उस पे सब पे आई मीन पॉलिसीज आर एवरीवेयर जो भी गवर्नमेंट करती है. सी डोंट लुक एट इट फ्रॉम दी, आप जो लेंस है ना वो लेंस चश्मा बदलना पड़ेगा. डोंट लुक एट इट फ्रॉम दी लेंस ऑफ कि आप कोई जावा सीख रहे हो या C++ सीख रहे हो. लुक एट इट फ्रॉम दी लेंस ऑफ कि मेरे को काम कहाँ है. लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल. आप एफएमसीजी इंडस्ट्री अगर समझते हैं, इसका पूरा मतलब क्या है. हिंदुस्तान लीवर जो वो कोलगेट और साबुन वाबुन बेचता है पूरे इंडिया में, वो सब एफएमसीजी है. ई कॉमर्स की अगर रिलेटेड आपको अमेजोन क्या रूल फॉलो करता है, तो आपको ई कॉमर्स की पॉलिसी देखनी है. ई कॉमर्स की पॉलिसी आप गूगल पे डालेंगे, 50 चीजें आ जाएंगी. आपका ई कॉमर्स, हमारे रूल्स पब्लिश होने वाले हैं, वो आ जाएंगे. ई कॉमर्स किसके अंडर में आता है? मिनिस्ट्री. सो देयर इज समथिंग, आई विल गिव यू अ जेन्युइन थिंग. देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज बिजनेस, गवर्नमेंट बिजनेस रूल. 1961 आई थिंक के एक्ट है, उसके अंडर में देयर इज अ बिजनेस रूल्स. सो हर मिनिस्ट्री के अपने बिजनेस रूल्स हैं कि क्या क्या डोमेन उनके अंडर में आएगा. सो ई कॉमर्स कम्स अंडर DPIIT, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इंडस्ट्री प्रमोशन एंड ट्रेनिंग. सो DPIIT इज द नोडल मिनिस्ट्री फॉर ई कॉमर्स इन इंडिया. ई कॉमर्स में कुछ भी होगा, ही इज द बॉस. सेक्रेटरी DPIIT या मिनिस्टर ऑफ DPIIT, जो भी पीयूष गोयल. सो तो DPIIT will frame regulations and policy for it. So अगर आप DPII की वेबसाइट पे जाएंगे, उनकी करंट पॉलिसीज आ जाएंगी. इसके अलावा ई कॉमर्स के बारे में यूट्यूब पे इतनी वीडियो मिल जाएंगी, क्या क्या पॉलिसी है, क्या रूल्स रेगुलेशन है. जब आप उसमें डीप डाउन करेंगे तो एक से दूसरा, तीसरे से तीसरा, चौथे से प्लस इन्फिनिट रास्ते बनते चले जाएंगे. अगर मैं आपको कोई एक सोर्स बना दूं तो फिर आप वो कौन है दैट, वो मतलब यू विल बिकम बायस्ड. यू that rational you have to bring in, वरना वो ध्रुव राठी फॉलोअर टाइप हो जाओगे. वो कहीं. हाँ प्लीज.
So Sandeep Mukherjee is asking that government set a policy for betterment of the country, but we have seen and faced that the policies create a big challenge in running the businesses. What are your opinion on this?
So Sandeep Mukherjee is one of my close friends, school friend, same name. So you reminded me of him first. Thank you. Second, Sandeep, you are talking like a politician. तो नेतागिरी कर सकते हो आप कि सरकार की ये पॉलिसी खराब है, वो खराब है. See, nothing is perfect in this world. There are always two sides to coin. Everything. I mean, I'm talking a little spiritual concept, but the world is something called a duality. World exists in duality. अगर head होगा तो tails होगा. The point is, on which side of the coin are you standing? You'll talk as per that. अगर आप IAS बन गए, आप कहोगे यार इन पे डंडा लगाओ, ये लोगों ने वो बिजनेस वो करा हुआ है, पब्लिक का पागल बनाया हुआ है, ये किया हुआ, वो किया हुआ. You will talk in that language. You will become a businessman. You will say गवर्नमेंट का रेड टेप है, गवर्नमेंट काम नहीं करने देता है, टैक्स टेररिज्म है, इतना है, ये है. But balance, the truth is always somewhere in between. And for that, you have to put your own mind and don't listen to others.
So Anshu is asking, what advice would you give to business facing geopolitical complexities and the regulatory uncertainties in their global business engagements?
Yeah, I mean, good question. So there is no single advice. Firstly, जो इस domain में पहुंचा भी है, they must be very smart people to start with as a business. Secondly, my advice would be to not take things from a blanket point of view. Like I'll give an example. तो मैं अगर IBM में काम करता हूँ या मैं let's say example I am in Google. So I may think I am on the top of the world and but ऐसा है नहीं. आप कुछ भी हो, but if you're working in Malaysia, you need to follow the rules and regulations of Malaysia. If you'll try to say कि नहीं नहीं हम तो US owned company है, we have our this right that right ये वो, like I'll give a recent example. WhatsApp ने बोला कि नहीं नहीं हम प्राइवेसी का वो रूल ब्रेक नहीं कर सकते. In केजरीवाल केस we cannot disclose this that. Court said privacy is not an absolute right. My country, my people will decide that whether privacy is most important or national security is most important. If tomorrow comes a case that WhatsApp says we'll close our business if you'll force us to be do it because we are a US company, we set norms for others, probably government will say please close it. In India there is a capacity to create 100 WhatsApp in 1 month, so and they will never do it, they know it. So the point is, I'm not trying to patronize that law of the land is supreme. Sometimes you need to take international things into context also, like Copyright Act of one country may be applicable in another country. But the point is, it has to be rational. And when you see things from geopolitics, you need to understand business risk very, very much. कि किसी country में आज expand कर रहे हैं, suppose somebody wants to take their business to Canada. I'll give an example. Now, Indo-Canadian relations are at a all-time low. And the reason is that Liberal Party there is in power. Now, if he goes away, you'll say the reverse polarity in working and the relations will come all-time high again. So those kind of calculation you have to see how the tide is turning up. What is the time that you need support? What is your cooling period? What is all? So those are all business decisions. Based on that, you'll prepare a matrix. 4 साल risk है, 5 साल risk है, 1 साल risk है, 6 महीने risk है. फिर ROI क्या है उस risk की? अगर वो risk मुझे लेना है, what is my appetite and what is the value there? So based on that, you will try and do. So there is no one single advice or one single point of view on it. But yeah, I think you need to maneuver things as they are based on what problem statement or what use case is there.
So Kanishka has asked a question. So how do you envision the future of corporate affairs and the public engagement, considering the rapid tech advancement and geopol shifts?
I don't know. Matlab, I'm too small to talk about future of something. All I can say is that I wish more smart people from you come and do a better job for industry and the country. I believe whatever I do should contribute to nation building in some sense, whether I'm doing it for my company or whether I'm doing for myself or the government. So I see the future very bright. And the scientific orientation and the temper is getting built up in corporate affairs, which were earlier missing. So it has been traditionally being dominated by legal lobby or people from media PR background, but now it is more dominated by technology and science background people. So it is refining things more, and it is making people more evidence based and more scientific temper, which is required because to talk about technology, you need to understand technology in detail. So and to make those calls and to understand things in perspective. So I see things panning out very well, but the traditional approach, like I said, just because वो licensing कर दिया और सरकार के साथ 2 मीटिंग कराए and यहाँ उससे बात करा दी, मैंने अपने मीटिंग करा दी. Traditional that licensing job is over. Those days are gone. Now you need to contribute to business to, like I said, augmenting it. That's the way road I see.
I think there are many questions that they posted, but we are also running short of time. So I'm just going to take one or two few minutes.
Yeah, you can take it for next 10 minutes. I have no issues.
Okay. So Sandeep Das has asked the question, do you really feel state rule or the policies are really required if we can cover politics under center level?
Right. So India as a federal country, state subjects are different. It's a clearly defined in our framework. Uh, I'll give an example. Gambling Act comes under state, not under center. So supposingly, casinos are allowed in Goa and Sikkim, not in all states. It's a state decision. So if a casino industry has to be promoted or people who run casino, Goa finance minister and GST council said that we should have them, but all the other finance minister of the states in the GST council vetoed it. So it all depends. It's a state subject. Law and order is a state subject. It all boils down to them. Some things, which again, like I said, business rules, what clearly defines are certain center subject, and then state doesn't have any modus operandi or any locus standi unit.
Now I'm going to move on to the second last question because
You
one
should
last.
focus on questions which are little different, diverse, and थोड़ा सा. Then वो
Okay.
सबका point of
So
view cover करें.
one question and last question I just want to ask you from my end because being a host, I have a privilege to ask the questions to the
Please, please.
guests. So the thing is that you have mentioned about the corporate affairs, the youngsters like us, me, and all, who just have the ambition. Okay, you have taken the example of Adani Group and all, and you are just like the people in the corporate, affairs and these kind of departments, and they are very, the smart person dealing with the government. So if someone really want to get into those departments of the company, what the path I think one should, just go through, like what education he or she should have,
So
the skill.
I got the point of view what you're trying to say. First of all, I didn't said कि जो corporate affairs में कुछ वो जादुई छड़ी है या बहुत smart people, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. In India जो smartest लोग हैं वो IIT में जाते हैं. ये अपने दिमाग में क्लियर डाल लो, ये सच है. हाईएस्ट IQ people go to IITs, उसके बाद वाले फिर छटते चले जाते हैं. ठीक है. Now the point is that you can be the smartest bloke on the planet, but it's not necessarily that your career will grow in the same ladder. Third thing is that sometime you're stuck with the wrong people. That's also happens, or wrong organization, because you get lured by money sometimes, in the sense कि यहाँ 15 lakh का पैकेज है, यहाँ 20 का है, तो all those things also plays into mind. Especially it should play in starting also, it plays more. So that's, these are the three things. But I think to create a career, there are 2-3 very important components that you need to understand. Now I'll give this a little longer answer because सबके लिए cover हो जाएगा. सबसे important चीज जो होती है अगर आपको एक अच्छा career बनाना है, not being comfortable. अगर आप settle होगे ना कि मैं तो यहाँ set है, तो believe you me, you're calling for trouble in life, because जैसे ही आप settle होते हैं ना कहीं पे, life has different plans. So always be in a hustle mode, in the sense, not mentally be calm, but basically always be adaptive to changes and be ready कि नया क्या हो रहा है, तो उसको सीखने के लिए you should always be ready. तो learning curve का जो importance ये नहीं है कि मैं ये भी सीख लूँ, ये certification कर लूँ, वो LinkedIn पे डालने के लिए नहीं होता है वो. Basically it is to make sense कि आपके दिमाग में are you growing as a person from a college graduate to a professional to next to whatever, what you do. So you need to make sense of those things. What is my path? Second point, जब आप किसी काम को करते हैं, then you understand कि क्या मुझे उसमें मजा आ रहा है, नहीं आ रहा है. ये बहुत important factor है. Now when I say मजा आ रहा है, I'm not talking about movies like Three Idiots or something like that. Those kind of luxuries are not with people in realistic life. The point what I'm trying to bring is कि when I'm doing development, supposingly I'm doing coding in some company, but I feel कि यार ये जो ये बिजनेस डेवलपमेंट का काम है या मार्केटिंग का काम है ना, ये मेरे को बहुत मजा आता है, ये सब में हो सकता है मैं अच्छा करूं. कैन आई डू इट, कैन आई डू डिजिटल मार्केटिंग, मुझे इंटरेस्ट करती है, बट मैं फंसा आया हूं क्योंकि मैंने बीटेक कर ली. Then you need to talk to yourself. What you need to do is acquire little skill in the area where you looking to go first. Second, then try and implement in a small project way or a freelancing way in some sense to make sense of it कि actually कितने पानी में मैं हूँ. Then third, then go out and talk to somebody there in the company, build a good relationship. People to people connect का कोई जोड़ कहीं पर नहीं है दुनिया में आज तक, चाहे चैट जीपीटी AI कुछ भी हो जाए दुनिया में. जो काम चाय पिलाने से होता है ना, वो कहीं से नहीं होता. So be very very clear. जितने लोग आजकल I'm seeing people lot of they want to be behind the screen, not known and zombie type काम करते रहो. वो एक लेवल तक चलता है, उसके बाद नहीं चलता. You need to be somebody talking to people. It's relationship building is the most important essence to become a good professional. So when you build those things, then you understand and talk to the marketing team. Can I try something? Can I work with something passively? And just work with them passively. If they like you, then they can probably you can do an internal transfer and try. Once you do an internal transfer, then you can do an external transfer also. So in this way, you can gradually try and find a path which excites you, where you feel you are most best at. So in this way, always have a 5-year picture in mind for your next career, then a 2-year picture, and then a 6 months picture, and then work towards it consistently with discipline. Coming to the public policy point of view of question, how to come into this department or this function. Again, या तो आप बिजनेस डेवलपमेंट, सेल्स, एक्सटर्नल क्लाइंट मैनेजमेंट वाले काम में या गवर्नमेंट डीलिंग में कहीं रहे हो, स्पेशली गवर्नमेंट में. अगर आपके गवर्नमेंट में नेटवर्क है, लिंक है, मिनिस्ट्री लेवल पर अगर आपने कहीं काम किया है, तो you can pitch yourself to the company directly कि I think I can work on this thing, can you give me a chance? That's one way. Second, if you at all are a graduate and you feel कि you are excited to do this work, then there are good courses and masters. Graduation level के course मत करना, वो सब थकाऊ course है. Masters level के अच्छे course, do it from good colleges. Even Ivy League colleges are, these courses are very cheap compared to what they charge for MBA, but value is immense. Global affairs and public policy course, masters, you can go and do from good university. Do it from a credible place. Like in India, if you want to do it, ISB से कर सकते हो. IIT में भी public policy school खुला है, Delhi IIT में. So similarly, you can do from abroad also. Do it from there. Work hard. Find out in which area you want to work. It's an ocean. You have to carve your point कि मेरे I am comfortable. मैंने engineering किया है, मेरी मैकेनिकल ब्रांच थी, मेरा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का ओरिएंटेशन है, तो मैं प्लांट बेस या जो ये इस पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर के लिए, ऑटोमेटिव सेक्टर के लिए मैं काम करूंगा. इट्स माय इंटरेस्ट आल्सो. आई लाइक ऑटोमेटेड कार्स एंड आई एम ऑलवेज इंटरेस्टेड इन ऑटो सेक्टर. आई एम अवेयर कौन सा मॉडल आ रहा है, क्या कंपनी क्या कर रही है. ये बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग मेरी बचपन से रही है. अब मुझे पॉलिसीज का भी, गवर्नमेंट की एमिशंस पे क्या है, किस चीज पे क्या है, क्या रोड मैप है, क्या इकोसिस्टम है. And then you can build certain आपके पास पेडिग्री आ गई है एजुकेशन की, and you can use your network, you can work around, build some good policy paper, start making connects, talk to people, and then pitch for jobs. So that's another way you can go about it. These are the two valid, genuine ways. Other than that, you find somebody and you're lucky.
It's so great for you to get your time on both of us.
Thank you so much, Ankit. I think, so there is always too much to talk about, hard pressed on requirement, but I wish I was some value to your time and to all of you. And if anybody wants to be get connected, you can get connected to me in LinkedIn. If ever you feel you need some advice, you can ping me on LinkedIn. I am always there. And if at all you need my number also, and you feel that you certainly need some important thing to talk about, and you feel you're at cusp of something important, so probably people in Deltron are aware about my my coordinates and my personal number, and they can share it with you, or you can get to them. Also, I will leave my email ID here. You can write to me. Generally people don't do, ये सिर्फ लिखने के लिए होता है, तो मैं भी लिख रहा हूँ इसलिए. But अगर कभी कोई हो ऐसा जिसको चमक जाए, जिसका ऐसा इंटरेस्ट हो, तो I would love to support and help. ठीक है ना? So this is this. LinkedIn पे तो आप लोग ढूंढ ही लोगे, कोई अपना कुछ इशू है ना. तो I think that's about it. Thank you to all of you. Do well. God bless you, and be consistent. Do positive work in life. And all the best. Wherever, whatever you do, no work is small, no work is big. Uh, just focus on building right value. Your value will come as a byproduct.
So thank you. That was a very great and insightful session from you, sir. And first of all, I would like to thank you on the behalf of Deltron Technologies and the Whiteboard Education and Research Foundation and our attendees. So we are wrapping up the session, and we are really thankful to you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ankit. Thank you. And thanks to Shivangi if she's on the call. She was in touch with me. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.